Hi, everyone, and welcome to our conversation about access to healthcare. We're going to take a look at it from two perspectives, sort of hot off the presses. What you're seeing in front of you is the Kaiser Family Foundation um, landing page. If you haven't heard of the Kaiser Family Foundation, then I invite you to become familiar with it. It is, in my estimate, one of two very independent. I know that's a tough word to say these days, independent sources for really health policy research. This is pretty up to date. And so this is the opening page. It might be on a different page in a few weeks. But I like to start here from a macro perspective and then drill down with a much more regional, local analysis when discussing access. Um, Opening information is about federal Medicaid cuts, which came after the big, beautiful bill was signed. You can see by this slide here that there is a predictive effort by the Congressional Budget Office that there'll be a reduction of $911 billion over 10 years. You can see that where the states that are in black, including Indiana, where I'm sitting right now, will really represent sort of the greatest level of cuts just because of um, within the 10-year span. So that is cuts that the federal government um, passes through to the states. So then the states have to enact legislation or change it, and that's happening all over the country. Obviously, when we talk about access to healthcare, we mean a few things, but one is access to health insurance. And since the Medicaid rules have really increased since the advent of Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act, um, this is going to affect the entire country. Um, Let me scroll down a little bit to another interesting tidbit of news. Individual market insurers requesting largest premium increases in more than 5 years. So now we're talking about private insurance through the ACA marketplace. And what you can see is a prediction of an increase in premiums that also will mean an increase in premiums for non-ACA marketplace insurance. But you see the largest number here out of 100 insurers, 32 of them project an increase of 10 to 15%. That is a huge increase in a year's time. Obviously, when it comes to private insurance, any increase is passed on to the consumers. But we're talking about fairly large increases all the way across the board, from a minimum of 5% to, this is unbelievable, 30% or more. What does that mean from a private health insurance basis? Well, because wage growth does not keep up at all with insurance premiums, individuals will make a choice, um, and it'll be a financial choice whether to either become insured through the marketplace or not. Again, these two indicators of insurance have huge impacts on the notion of access. So, from an insurance perspective, really access to be able to retrieve government or private insurance is a big deal. I'm going to stop sharing and bring up another document that is on your Blackboard site that I'd like you to spend some time perusing. This document is much more local to the Evansville area, knowing quite well that some of you are not in the region. I'd like you to just use this as a base. Where You Live Matters is a report. And as it says in the introduction, it goes down, quite honestly, the neighborhood, suburb, rural level, and how where you live shapes health, income, exposure to pollution, even how long you live. We're going to focus on health, socioeconomic status, and areas of vulnerability in neighborhoods. Now, in true transparency, this report came out in the middle of 2025. I did contribute a little bit, really, as a reviewer to this. And so this was created using some really outstanding data sources that can drill down at a huge level. But it really has the distinct flavor of Southwestern Indiana, and folks at the Polis Center at IU Indianapolis really authored it. It's very interesting. What I'm going to ask you to do is certainly go through everything you'd like, but focus on health. Many of you won't be surprised at where the outcomes are, socioeconomic status, and then, even though you might not be totally familiar, this goes down to the neighborhood level. Now, this speaks to the social determinants of health, all kinds of things that impact our lives. It is becoming a little more common. Oh, this, I think, is one of the first reports I've seen that really goes down to the neighborhood level. You might have heard years ago, up to 10 years ago, the term zip code matters was popular. Whatever your zip code is, will impact your health more than the healthcare system, more than the outcomes from various procedures. It goes down to all of these things right here. So I'd like you to spend some time going through this. This is a different level, and I'm going to just focus on the health aspect just for a second as I pull this up. But there is a reflective survey at the end, and I'll just share a little bit about what I'm going to ask you to do. So what you'll find in this section is pretty, some of you might be pretty familiar with this, but it pinpoints areas in the Evansville area, but down to the neighborhood, that really spell out the high rates of these indicators. So we always start with a notion of life expectancy, because quite honestly, nothing really matters, especially if there's such a diverse life expectancy. And quite honestly, in a very short distance, there is quite a difference in terms of life expectancies in terms of counties in southwestern Indiana. But I'd like you to scroll through this. It has a lot of physical, mental health type data. It goes down to exactly where you live. Now, there's a variety of things built into this as well, including racial disparities. But then again, we come to access via insurance and exactly what that means in terms of overall health, along with access to healthcare. These are sourced information. You can see some of the sources right here. I'd like you to focus on health, socioeconomic status, and areas of vulnerability. And there is a reflective survey. Really, after you go through this, really like your impression of what you took away from each of the three areas, and how might a report like this, because it is simply a report, the overall is where you live matters. There aren't magical solutions baked into this report, but it drills down to neighborhoods. Um, how might this report be used to positively impact our health and our healthcare in communities? Now, even if you are not from Southwest Indiana and you think about a similar report to where you live, what might be the impact of something like this for the health of the communities? And so that really is going to be your summary reflective question after you give your impression of what you learned, what you took away from from the health section, the socioeconomic status section, and of course the areas of vulnerability. So we started very much a macro discussion. We are concluding this with going down to neighborhoods. And also, I want to get your feedback, which I'll do just in a separate survey of what you think of a report like this. This is actually the first time that the report only came out recently, and um, you are some of the first individuals who are seeing this, so congratulations in advance. Okay, folks, I'll put the reflective questions in the survey. Let me know if you have any questions, and looking forward to reading your comments on Blackboard. Take care. Bye.